Shabbat Shalom. In this last Shabbat of the year, when we read in the Torah this parashah in which so powerful and beautiful, Moses is giving one of his final speeches to the people of Israel, the people he has led for 40 years. The Torah goes out of its way to make the point that everyone is gathered, everyone is called together, everyone is standing there and called to hear his message. The powerful opening words indicate that everyone is standing before him on this day. Vatem nitzavim hayom kulchem, all of you are standing here this day. The powerful opening words tell us then that the message he is about to deliver is not just for the elite or the elders, and in order to make sure that that point is driven home, it says that it is also individuals who are there include the tapechem, nishechem, v'gercha asher bekerev machanecha, your children, your wives, your stranger who is in the midst of your camp. And just to be sure it is clear and to reinforce what he is about to say pertains to all, he adds, mechotev etzecha ad shoev meimecha, from the ewer of your wood to the drawer of your water. He's speaking in those words then to all segments of society, because the wood choppers and the drawers of the water are actually very menial jobs. They entail hard physical labor, requiring physical exertion. The Torah is going out of its way to express a vision of inclusiveness and of unity, thereby emphasizing that the covenant with God is not just for the upper class, not just for landowners, but in fact for laborers as well, which is an appropriate reminder and message for us on this Labor Day weekend. Most of us Americans probably don't give much thought to the meaning behind the holidays which serve as bookends to the summer, Memorial Day and Labor Day. For the most part, we look upon these days as times and weekends when we can spend time or be with family, when we can get away, we're going to have an extra day off of work, maybe have a barbecue, maybe come to a bar mitzvah, maybe serve as a fashion post so we know when it's permissible to begin to wear and when to stop wearing white pants. Maybe it's a chance to find a good sale on a mattress. That's what we think of these days. And it's unfortunate that we've lost the appreciation for the reasons that these days were set aside as holidays and what they're supposed to recognize, because the crux of the two holidays actually have much more deeper and profound meaning. They share in common the following, and that is to remind us of the sacrifices that are made by others, which allow us to enjoy the standard of living that we too often take for granted. On Memorial Day, we remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our liberty and to maintain not only our freedom, but we're reminded, especially by the events of the last 2 weeks, what we do to bring freedom to others around the world as well. Labor Day comes to acknowledge and honor the honest, decent, hardworking people, some of whom barely eke out a living and who form the very backbone of our country. So Moses' reference to the ewer of wood and to the one who carries the water, those aren't randomly selected. They both serve important roles in society, and it's meant to be inclusive of everyone. Now, when we're talking about the ones who bring in the water, Jewish literature is replete with many wonderful stories about the role of the water carrier. In the shtetls of Europe, this was the person who was responsible for carrying water from the river or whatever source of fresh water was available to the people. In Yiddish, he's known as the Wassertrager. At our family service on Monday evening, welcoming the holiday, I'm going to share a story with you. But this morning, I wanted to share a different one about the beloved 19th century Rabbi Israel Salanter, who is recognized as the founder of the Musar movement. The Musar movement he founded emphasizes teachings in the Bible and in later Jewish literature about Musar, about ethics, which teach us how to treat and act towards others, all of which is an important concept in Judaism, known as Derech Eretz. Well, as the story goes, the residents of a particular village were excited and honored when they heard that the respected and scholarly sage was coming to visit their community for Shabbat. They worked hard to prepare for his visit, and they spared no detail in seeing to it that on this particular Shabbat, all would be just perfect. And when it was time to eat, Rabbi Israel Salanter did as is customary among all traditional Jews, and that is, prior to eating the bread, he said a blessing, the motzi. And before that, he washed his hands, so he could say the Nitilat Yadayim bracha. His hosts, however, were surprised. They're surprised, they were puzzled, and they were taken back when they noticed that he'd used such a small amount of water when washing his hands. Some even wondered if he'd used enough water to fulfill the halakhic requirement to wash before eating. They didn't know, maybe they had began to think maybe they had done something wrong. Maybe they had offended or upset him in some way. Well, rather than guess or leave it to their imagination or take it personally, the rabbi of the town took it upon himself to discreetly ask their distinguished guest why he used so little water when he was washing his hands performing the mitzvah of Nitilat Yadayim. Well, Rabbi Salanter explained that when he arrived, he noticed that the water in this particular shtetl was drawn from a well that was quite a distance from the town. And although he normally would wash his hands with more water in the legally preferable manner, in this case, he said, it would be unfair, it would be inappropriate, it would be burdensome to do so at the expense of the simple Wassertrager, the water carrier who had to schlep the water on his back. Now, today, of course, we don't have that. Today, we just open the tap and water comes out. But as this most unusual of years comes to a close, we can learn what Moses and what Rabbi Salanter taught us, not only what they taught, but even more importantly, how they lived their lives. We can learn to think about the water we consume so that we can conserve it, and the natural resources, which are not infinite. And moreover, we can strive to be inclusive, as he was, as they were, considerate of all. We should think about those who serve us, those who see to it that our needs are met, how we treat the Wassertragers of today, the waiters who serve us, the postal workers who deliver our mail, delivery people who bring things to our home that we've ordered, Uber drivers, TSA workers, and others. In that fashion, when we treat these individuals with respect, we're honoring the words of today's Torah reading of Moshe Rabbeinu, who wanted us to respect all, from those who cut wood to those who bring us water. May we take that message to heart, and let us say, Amen.